Okay, now we're good.
Hey, and welcome to NPC's The Wrap. I'm Paul, the host.
I'm Carl.
Emanual.
Alright, now we're currently waiting in line, and we thought, hey, we're lazy, let's just do the podcast now. So, let's start with some small news. Let's look at the box office numbers.
Hey, well, the Jungle Book finished with the highest weekend gross at over 43,714,000, and nothing comes close. Second, we have The Huntsman, which is War at slightly above 9 million, and Keanu at slightly less than that, and Mother's Day following that.
Okay. How's Ratchet & Clank doing? I know that came out this week.
Ratchet & Clank,
Well, if it takes that long to find it, then...
about 5 million, well, a little less than 5 million.
Alright, well, Jungle Book still stays at the top of the spot, based on our impressions, for a good reason.
Yeah, I'd say it deserves to be at top.
And it may not stay in the top spot for long, thanks to another Disney film, the one we're about to watch right now. So,
don't you just love the Disney company? They rule the world.
At this point, yeah, they owned our childhood, they own our entire future entertainment, they own our children's childhood. But anyway, let's move on to some other news. In video game news, there is now a PlayStation 4.5 or PS4K rumors.
Or AKA the Neo, if you want to go with the Matrix.
Let's go with that. And so, anyway, the Neo is going to have higher processing speed in terms of GPU and CPU, the highest uptick in CPU speed, small uptick in RAM speed, a small uptick in GPU speed, but the main idea is that it provides better graphical fidelity for some of the base PS4 games, and games will be able to take advantage of it. Now, you may be wondering, why the hell would you buy a PS4K if you already have a PS4? Well, as the name suggests, no, it's not every game is going to be 4K. According to Sony, each game will have the ability to take advantage of the hardware, but they're less stringent on resolution as they are on frame rate. All they care about is that it runs in better or equal on par frame rate as the PS4 version. Now, we're here with Carl, who has a PS4. How do you feel about this? You gonna shell out more money?
I just don't know who exactly this is being marketed for. The problem is, console expansions have been around for a while, but they've never really taken off.
Yeah, we got Sega.
We had the Sega Genesis. We had.
Hey, you want to go back even further? This is Kevin coming in on that.
Choking on a sandwich.
Yes. You can go all the way back to Atari and ColecoVision, where Coleco released an edition for their system that would allow you to play their competitors' games.
Which begs the question, what the hell were they smoking? Because isn't that the exact same thing as...
Okay, I'll tell you the reasoning behind it. PS4 is selling so well, 40 million units, and while many people might say, okay, the main people who are ever going to buy a PS4 already bought it. Now, how do we sell more to people who already bought it, our target audience? Well, we give them an upgraded version of it. But there are conflicting reports where PS4 sales are just, they're not slowing down. They're gaining momentum. And that's really an odd thing to see, where everybody thinks, oh, the hardcore audience is the ones who always buy it. But now you see the casual audience going steady and strong and increasing as we go. Emmanuel, you don't have a PS4. You gonna buy one?
Well, I'll tell you this, I would definitely rather buy a 4.5 than a 4 at this point. So.
But think about the price, though. I mean, $200 versus $400 if we're rounding out around that price.
Well, that's true, but why go with the last generation?
Oh, see, that's the thing. Well, people actually think it's a last generation. We don't know for sure.
No, I don't think so. This is where Sony gets to win either way. They get the new people or even old customers who want, oh my god, this is the highest resolution possible, I'm going to buy this and get rid of my old PS4. But you also get the people who didn't buy a PS4 yet to go and buy the first generation of the console. So it's a win-win in Sony's court.
It's also saying, like, inflating the value of the actual PS4, where you might say, like, oh, a PS4 is now $200, and there's nothing else to compete with it. Well, that's deflating the value. And with a PS4K, that's $400. You have something to compare it to. It still keeps the value up.
We also have to keep in mind that there's also the PlayStation VR to consider in all this.
Right. Many people consider that. Yeah. Since the PSVR now named coming out with its own CPU box, people thought, Well, if they come out with a better PS4, you wouldn't need that CPU box. This would be just an easier add-on.
And not only that, the VR graphics fidelity would be that much higher on an upgraded PlayStation 4. So
The question remains, this is fair, by the way, the question remains, I mean, if you compare it to something that's been done in the past, if you look at original Xbox 360 versus the slimmer Xbox 360 with Kinect support, is it really going to be that big of an improvement? Because the Kinect, you needed the adapter to play on the original Xbox 360, and then on the Slim, you could plug it straight into the USB port in the back. However, nobody cared about the Kinect.
Okay, well, my argument would be like that wasn't the actual like CPU hardware issue. It was actually just a bus issue where they had to change the bus of the Kinect to substitute for the 360. But you do make an interesting point where we never saw this with a good selling console that comes out halfway into its year with a fully new model. We only saw like slim versions of PS3 and Xbox 360, and many people would wonder what happens to games. We knew like the whole debate about the internet. Oh, Time Warner Cable, Verizon, they wanted to add fast lanes, but everybody was against it because we knew their version of a fast lane literally just meant a slower lane for everyone else. So is that a parable here where you come up with a better system, everybody makes their games for the better system, and kind of leaves the older system in the dust? Sony has been going really crazy trying to hold down the fort, saying like, oh no, remember, these are all rumors. These are all leaked documents that said Sony telling devs like, no, the PS4 is still the standard. But how would consumers feel? They might feel cheated.
Well, I think this also ties into Sony's marketing thing. There is so little support for the 4K resolution, yet Sony doesn't even make TVs at this point. Like, you're getting to a point where they need to market this somehow, and the only way they're going to sell it is if they make content for the platform which they're trying to sell.
That's fair, and also we might say like Sony did go all out in support for the 3D, which turned into literally 2 games, Killzone and Resistance. That was it.
And we also have to keep in mind that when the PlayStation 3 first came around, they made it so that Blu-rays were the standard, and that's why the initial PlayStation 3 was so expensive, because of that whole included Blu-ray disc drive, but now that's considered the standard. But it's easier to market a disc format than it is to get a freaking television sent into your home. So.
Yeah. And then you also have to look back on that whole Blu-ray disc franchise, or not franchise rather, the whole battle between HD DVD and Blu-ray disc. And Sony made that happen. That wouldn't be that way if they weren't marketing a specific way. And I mean, you have to have some faith in their marketing ability regarding that. So.
But the counter-argument can be made. Well, Sony was so focused on the disc, 50 gigabyte on a disc, and we saw Xbox 360 games comes out with like 3 discs at a time for a game. Xbox was going all in on digital purchasing, so they're even one more step ahead. And you might think like, okay, is 4K really the goal you want to attain to? Some could argue, yeah, today, this year in Black Friday, prices will go so down, people are ready for 4K, you see it ramping up, you see it always on display on Best Buy, but is that really enough to sell a console? Or vice versa, is a console really enough for people to go out and buy TVs?
If I go to a Best Buy or a PC Richards right now, I'm only going to see like maybe 4 or 5 4K TVs and maybe 2 curved TVs, which I don't know where like all the demand for that went. But if the product isn't there, if the supply isn't there, you can't exactly have this major demand for it.
Alright, well, we should end with note that Sony really does suck at like supporting newer hardware as it came in. Remember PlayStation Move, remember PlayStation Camera was its own thing before the Move.
Remember the PlayStation Portable.
Yes.
Remember the PlayStation
Remember the
Portable?
Vita. Viva la Vita.
Oh, Vita Island. I'm sorry, Greg Miller.
I just want to know what Sony's deal with the Matrix is.
I mean, it's just a code name.
Yeah, but like
Neo, Morpheus.
exactly.
Yeah, sure.
If there's a Sony Trinity, I think
A new
someone's
handheld
going to
and
be
it's-
slapped.
I don't know.
You take the television, you take the VR, you take the PS4. You have the Trinity.
Alright.
We'll be back.